All right, welcome to the Explainer. So if you've ever actually tried to master American English, you already know that the absolute biggest hurdle isn't the grammar rules, it's the idioms. You know, those tricky, super colorful phrases that make absolutely zero sense if you try to translate them word for word. Well, today, we're going to master an incredible block of conversational idioms by dropping right into the middle of a very dramatic, highly stressful workplace conversation. We're going to meet Bob, a manager at a failing furniture store, and his boss, Peter. Let's listen in on Bob's terribly bad day at work.
So Peter calls Bob into his office and starts off heavy. "Bob, I hate to break the news, but our sales were down again last month." And Bob, kind of surprised and maybe a little defensive, goes, "Down again, Peter?" Notice that phrase right away, break the news. Peter is making something bad known to Bob, literally fracturing the peace of the morning.
Yeah, these days, everybody's shopping at our competition, Honest Abe's Furniture Store. Bob instantly tries to defend his store's position. But everything in there costs an arm and a leg. I love this one. It means, of course, that the competitor's furniture is incredibly, painfully expensive.
But Peter isn't buying it. He says sternly, "That's true, they do charge top dollar." Bob pushes back again, getting clearly agitated now. "And their salespeople are very strange. They really give me the creeps." Such a great idiom here. It means they literally create a physical, shuddering feeling of disgust or horror in him.
Now the stakes are getting really high. Peter says, "Well, they must be doing something right over there. Meanwhile, we're about to go belly up." Bob pleads with him, his voice dropping. "I'm sorry to hear that. I thought my new advertising campaign would save the day." "Okay, go belly up. That means the business is dying, going completely bankrupt. And Bob was desperately hoping his ad would swoop in like a superhero and prevent that impending disaster."
The tension in the room is basically boiling over at this point. Peter shoots right back. "Let's face it, your advertising campaign was a real flop. Just a total, complete failure." Bob, totally scrambling to keep his job, says, "Well, then I'll go back to the drawing board." He's basically offering to scrap the whole thing and start the entire task over from the very beginning. And here is the absolute climax of our scene. Peter delivers the final brutal blow. "It's too late for that. You're fired." Bob is completely stunned. "What? You're giving me the axe?" Man, give someone the axe. It's such a visceral, aggressive way to say you're forcefully firing them. And Bob just caught the blade. Peter shows absolutely zero mercy here. "Yes, I've already found a new manager. She's as sharp as a tack. Extremely intelligent, totally ready to go." Bob begs in desperation, "Can't we even talk this over? After all, I've been working here for 10 years.
And bam, the explosive finale. Peter says coldly, "There's no point in arguing, Bob. I've already made up my mind." Bob finally snaps, his anger just boiling over. "Oh well, at least I won't have to put up with your nonsense anymore. Goodbye to you, and goodbye to this dead-end job." And Peter just screams right back, "Please leave before I lose my temper." Phew. Okay, let's take a breath.
Let's step out of that drama for just a second. As this brilliantly illustrates, we literally just witnessed 16 distinct idioms in about 60 seconds of conversation. So the million-dollar question is, how do we actually memorize all of that? I mean, we've all been there, right? Staring blankly at a list of definitions in a textbook, only to have them completely vanish from our brain by tomorrow morning. It is incredibly frustrating. We definitely need a better system.
This is exactly where we turn to the legendary memory techniques developed by Tony Buzan. We are going to build a memory palace. The rules are super simple but ridiculously powerful. Linking, association, and exaggeration. Because look, translating idioms word for word usually creates total nonsense, right? Well, we're going to use that nonsense to our advantage. By creating structured, highly exaggerated, and totally absurd visualizations, we can lock these phrases into our memory forever.
Okay, visualize this. You're walking up to Peter's furniture store. This is Zone 1, the front entrance. Picture Peter standing right there at the glass doors, holding a massive cardboard sign that literally says, "Bad news." Now watch him violently tear that sign right in two. He is physically breaking the news. See it clearly in your mind. Hear the sound of that cardboard ripping. Bam! That is your first permanent anchor.
Let's move deeper inside to Zone 2, the luxury couch display. Imagine an incredibly fancy velvet couch, but sitting right on top of the cushions are a gory human arm and a severed leg. It costs an arm and a leg. And pinned to that bloody arm, a giant price tag that just reads top dollar. The weirder and more shocking the image, the better your brain is going to retain it.
Keep walking down the aisle to Zone 3. First, you pass a dark storage closet. Inside, those strange competitor salespeople are hiding in the shadows, making spooky ghost noises. They literally give you the creeps. You shudder, step over to the main cash register. But wait, it's not a machine. The register is shaped like a giant glass fish tank, and there's a dead fish floating belly up right inside. The business is bankrupt, the fish is dead, it's gone belly up.
Right next to the register is Zone 4, the marketing wall. You look up, hoping Bob's bright new ad will save the day like a superhero swooping in, but instead, the advertisement slowly peels off the wall and does a real flop. It falls completely flat onto the floor with a wet smack. Defeated, you watch Bob retreat. He walks over to a massive, physical wooden drawing board right in the middle of the aisle to start sketching all over again. He has to literally go back to the drawing board.
Let's actually pause the tour for a second because this perfectly illustrates why this method absolutely crushes traditional learning. A textbook just tells you give me the axe means to get fired and sharp as a tack means intelligent. That is abstract and frankly boring. But in our memory palace, as Bob gets fired, Peter literally hands him a heavy, sharp lumberjack axe, and right behind them, the new manager is sitting on a giant, painfully sharp metal thumbtack. You are literally never going to forget those definitions now because your brain is naturally wired to remember striking physical imagery.
Okay, let's finish up the tour. Zone 5 is the manager's office in the back. Bob is standing there holding his axe, desperately trying to talk this over. But visualize Peter's sitting behind his desk, stubbornly waving his hands in front of his face, physically blocking Bob out. There's no point in arguing because, get this, Peter's head has actually turned into solid stone. He has permanently made up his mind. That heavy visual of a stone head locks in the rigid stubbornness of the phrase.
Finally, Zone 6. Bob storms out of the office into a dead-end hallway. A solid brick wall totally blocks his path to the break room. This is a literal dead-end job. He holds up a heavy wooden protest sign that says, "I won't put up with this." And, over in the corner, Peter's head is practically exploding with steam like a cartoon volcano. He loses his temper, grabs a ceramic coffee mug, and violently shatters it against the brick wall.
All right, time for a quick test. Mentally walk yourself back through that furniture store right now. The ripped sign at the front entrance, the gory arm and leg on the couch, the spooky guys in the closet, and the dead fish floating in the register, the poster flopping on the marketing wall, the axe at the exit. Do you feel that? Without even really trying, you just effortlessly anchored 16 complex native English idioms into your permanent memory.
So, the huge takeaway here is this. Learning does not have to be some tedious, mind-numbing exercise in rote memorization. By using association and exaggeration, you can completely hack your brain's natural love for visual storytelling. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. What other daily spaces could become your next language laboratory? What wild, exaggerated stories can you build in your own kitchen or office to master your next set of vocabulary? Get creative with it, have fun, and keep exploring. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.